Guys, we look forward to the Rams. Let's make this more about than just their receiver. It's the first year with Stafford. You lose a really important piece like Robert Woods, and yet you still win the Super Bowl. So there's this thought of, y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Sean, looking forward to this season. Could the world champion Rams offense be even better next year?
Yeah, Kyle, that's a great question. When you win the Super Bowl, it's always, all right, how do we get back? How do we run it back? How do we improve on things? And a lot of times, as defending Super Bowl champs, you end up losing players. You can't afford to keep them all. Of course, they lost Von Miller to Buffalo, but keeping Cooper Kupp, signing him to this extension, huge. Obviously, same thing with Aaron Donald. I look at this offense, Kyle, and I'm looking at it and say, okay, where are some rooms for improvement? Well, you want to piggyback off what you did the year before. So right out of the gate, they've got a new offensive coordinator, Kevin O'Connell. He's in Minnesota now. So Liam Cohen steps in. So there will be some adjustments there. But I look at Matt Stafford, and, you know, look, he's the belle of the ball right now, right? Everything has changed. But I think when you look at Matthew Stafford, and when he goes in and watches film of him last year, he's going to look at it and say, boy, you know what? You could trade jerseys and have a different look, but old habits die hard. Matthew Stafford can improve. This offense can be better if he takes care of the football. Take a look at last season, Matthew Stafford, where he stood on these deep interceptions. Look, it never failed. It seemed like game after game, there was going to be an opportunity where Stafford was just going to go heave-ho. Here it is. I'm throwing it up there, and it's an interception. And, you know, sure, fine. It's like a punt. But there are times when, you know what, you can't get away with that. And I think for Stafford, that's going to be one of the biggest things that he's going to have to clean up. I know certainly having, you know, Cooper Kupp and what he's doing in the slot is phenomenal, so that should certainly help out. But for Stafford, he could do a better job taking care of the football and not throwing all these picks.
Geez, Shawnee's so negative this morning. For me, absolutely, yes. This offense absolutely can get better. They have one of the best wide receiver trios in the game with Kupp, with Allen Robinson, and Van Jefferson. In terms of Kupp, we know he always gets open. And in terms of Allen Robinson, we've talked about him a lot on this program. He's a top 10 wide receiver in an ideal situation. And guess what? He has one in LA in Matthew Stafford. Sean McVay calling him a stud, raving about his body control. Jefferson making that leap last season from his rookie season. They also have a great backfield with Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. Remember, the Rams rode Akers in the postseason until that Super Bowl when he rushed for only 21 yards. But in my opinion, if you have those four wideouts and you say, okay, I want to exploit the middle of the field, well, guess what? You have Tyler Higbee there who is around and ready to go, okay? And then you look at, okay, I'm surveying the field. Who else do I have? Oh, Cam Akers. I can just dump it off to him. So in my opinion, while Sean's going negative, I think Matthew Stafford actually has a chance to throw for over 5,000 yards here, KB.
Okay.
Sean made a really good point about the way that Stafford gave the ball away. And it wasn't as if this was, okay, early in the season he hit some bumps. When they won the division title here in Minnesota in mid-December, I interviewed Stafford after the game. He had played badly, a couple bad picks. His first words out of his mouth were, boy, I tried to make that interesting, didn't I? That was the Matthew Stafford, and the entire debate was, is he going to play well enough down the stretch? Well, he certainly, from that point forward, played a lot better, played well in the playoffs. You know who else made a big difference? Odell Beckham Jr. Go back and look what happened after he joined after his separation from the Cleveland Browns. 5 touchdowns in the last 7 regular season games. In the playoffs, Beckham had 21 catches for 288 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Might have been the Super Bowl MVP, except he tore his ACL after his touchdown in the first quarter. He's not going to be ready coming off that injury till probably around Thanksgiving. Could end up being back with the Rams. Sean McVay says they'd love to have him back. But if you don't have Beckham, the guy who you had on the backside of all those double teams, bracket coverage, Cooper Kupp seeing, it was Beckham winning those one-on-ones. Can Allen Robinson now step into that role? How do defenses adjust? It's a little bit of an unknown there, just in terms of that spark that the Rams really seem to find down the stretch with OBJ.
You know, 100%. He was massive even in the first half of the Super Bowl. Odell looked like a superstar. I look at it this way. So these teams win the Super Bowl sometimes, and they go on this incredible meteoric run. And there's a question of, where do we go from here? How can we play better than this? Even with the Chiefs, when they won, and it felt like they were scoring 50 points a game, there's this question of, is this sustainable? It's kind of nowhere to go but down. I don't see it that way with the Rams at all. I don't even think this is the fully realized Sean McVay Rams experience yet. As good as they were last year, Sean McVay has had Jared Goff offenses that are significantly better than the one last year they won the Super Bowl with. It's just the numbers right in front of you. Last year, 9th in total offense. They had a Jared Goff team that was 2nd in total offense. So they haven't even realized this yet. The whole Cam Akers injury, and he came back really early and just wasn't himself. We don't have the Todd Gurley thing going yet. There's so many things that vindicate that they really won this Super Bowl ahead of schedule. Once McVay really sinks in and they get more weapons on the field, of course they could be better. Pick an offense that you're sure is going to be better than the Rams next year in the entire NFL. I can't find it. It makes it a very compelling one, and I would say the same thing for the team they beat in the Super Bowl, the Bengals, just because they were so young. But Tom, I have to take it back to you, because a lot of the reactions right now, let's just talk about the fans, people that we know, especially people who are trying to beat the Rams this year. There's this WTF is going on. Is the salary cap not existing anymore? This guy gets a contract. This guy does. How are the Rams doing this? Can you put this just in lay terms a little bit for how they just keep giving contract after contract and getting under the cap somehow?
The fundamentals of the cap, Kyle, are that every dollar you spend hits the cap eventually. What teams can do is use signing bonuses, which are prorated. They are counted over the lifetime of the contract, at least up to 5 years, to be able to push some of those dollars into future years' salary caps. So what the Rams' history has been is with their young stars, they are willing, unlike some other teams, to do deals early with 2 years remaining. The thing with doing that is you need to be right. Go back several years. The Rams did it with Jared Goff and Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was a monster centerpiece in their offense, but he had a bad knee. Things deteriorated. He wasn't the same. They were still paying him when he played in 2020 with the Atlanta Falcons. With Jared Goff, they were stuck with this huge guaranteed money at a time that Sean McVay and company knew they wanted to move on at quarterback, and they had to, in essence, incentivize the Lions to take that big contract because salary cap-wise, they would not have been able to acquire Matthew Stafford with Jared Goff still on the books. So is the salary cap real? Yes, but with the way that revenue is growing, which in turn means that the salary cap, barring COVID or another that type of situation, continues to grow, teams have become more willing to push those cap hits into the future, spend cash over cap now.